My name is Laura. The silence in the glass-walled conference room on the 42nd floor of the downtown high-rise was deafening, like the calm before a storm. I sat across the mahogany table from my biological family, my hands folded on the closed red folder in front of me. They thought they were about to secure a fortune, but little did they know they had just walked into a well-laid trap. My so-called mother, Diana, had just signed a kinship verification affidavit with a flourish, shoving it at my father, Ethan, who hesitated only for a moment before following suit. They were blinded by greed, thinking they were one step closer to the $12 million inheritance left to me by my Uncle Henry. I placed my palm on the red folder and said, "We'll get to the money. First, we review the receipts." Diana leaned forward, all false sweetness, sliding the signed paper across the table. "We signed your little paper. Now pay us. We've suffered enough." I opened the red folder and pulled out an old external disk drive. Plugging it into my laptop and connecting it to the projector, I typed in the password. Ethan's voice wobbled. "What are you doing? Where's the check?" I didn't look up. Uncle Henry kept old tech for old sins. The screen flickered to life, showing grainy black and white security footage from December 24th, 2010. There was a snowy porch and a younger Diana, clipboard in hand, shoving it at a small figure beside a suitcase.
Me.
Diana shot up. "Turn that off. This is private." I said quietly but firmly, "Sit down." "I'm not finished." I placed a cashed check beside the affidavit. "Do you recognize this? Your signature is on the back. $500. You told the media you lost me, but you didn't lose me, Diana. You sold me." Then I laid down a faded receipt from an electronics store. "You sold me for a new home theater system. Here's the receipt." Ethan made a strangled sound and reached for the papers, but their lawyer, Mr. Gray, slammed a hand over his wrist, now more concerned about protecting his license than them. I tapped their fresh signatures on the affidavit. "You just swore you raised me and provided support for 15 years. But for 15 years, you claimed a missing child as a dependent and collected $180,000 in benefits." I leaned in. "If you claim you raised me, you go to prison for welfare fraud and tax evasion. If you admit you sold me, you lose the inheritance and still go to prison for perjury and false filings. You didn't walk into a negotiation. You walked into a crime scene." The silence was the sound of a trap snapping shut. Diana stammered, "We can fix this, Laura, baby." I stood up. "I didn't call the police. They're slow. I called the State Department of Human Services Fraud Unit an hour ago. They're waiting in the lobby." The doors hissed open, and two men and a woman in dark windbreakers stepped in, with State Fraud Unit in bold yellow letters on their jackets. Diana recoiled, her chair screeching. "No, I'm your mother." I said calmly and firmly, "My mother died the night she chose a home theater over her daughter. You're a defendant." The lead agent spoke. "Diana and Ethan, you are under arrest for grand larceny and welfare fraud." Handcuffs clicked, and Diana wailed while Ethan collapsed into silence as they were let out past the blinking security camera. My stepsister, Lily, pale and frantic, rushed at me, grabbing my arm. "Wait, I didn't sign. You can't leave me with nothing." I gently but firmly removed her hand. "You got a designer wardrobe the day I got a snowstorm. Sell it if you're hungry." At the shredder, I fed the store receipt into the blades. The last proof of my price tag became confetti. Then I walked out, down 42 floors and into the cold city air, finally weightless. It all started when I was 13. My parents, Diana and Ethan, were always more interested in material things than in me. One cold winter day, Uncle Henry offered them $500 for my guardianship. Diana shoved a clipboard into my chest, blocking the doorway. "Sign this paper. Uncle Henry is paying $500 for you. That's exactly enough for the home theater system I want." She sneered. "You finally have a purpose, Laura. Buy me something nice." I didn't cry. I signed the paper and walked away, realizing my price tag was $500. Uncle Henry was a cynical man. He raised me with hard lessons and cold facts. He used to sit in his library, tapping a lit cigar against a crystal ashtray, and tell me, "Laura, tears are useless. Emotions are expensive, but receipts are free. Keep them all." While I built a career as a senior compliance officer at a private trust firm, hunting liars and verifying financial data, my parents built a life based on lies. They assumed I had vanished into the foster system or died on the streets. For 15 years, they played the grieving parents on local TV, accepting donations for a fake search fund and using the money for their own luxuries. They also committed federal wire fraud and tax evasion by claiming me as a dependent on their tax returns and collecting welfare benefits. I watched them from a distance, saving every piece of evidence, waiting for the perfect moment. Then Uncle Henry died on a rainy Tuesday in November. He left me his entire estate worth $12. $5 million. But my parents smelled the money like sharks smell blood. They hired Mr. Gray, a lawyer who promised to fight for the little guy, but really just wanted a percentage of the settlement. They filed a motion to contest the will, claiming I had manipulated Uncle Henry. They took their campaign to the media, painting themselves as saints and me as a predator. My lawyer was furious and wanted to fight back, but I remembered Uncle Henry's words and decided to let them make more mistakes. I told my lawyer to offer them a mediation session, pretending to be weak and scared. They took the bait, and here we were in this conference room where I finally exposed their crimes.